All right, as I mentioned at the top of the program, Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton has gone to the Supreme Court saying that 4 of the battleground states have violated the Constitution, Article 2, and the 14th Amendment in the November election. Well, 17 states have weighed in saying they support this effort. Additionally, Republican lawmakers are getting behind the suit. Leading that effort on Capitol Hill is Congressman Mike Johnson. He serves as the congressman for the 4th Congressional District of Louisiana. He serves on the House Judiciary Committee and is the ranking member of the Subcommittee on the Constitution, Civil Rights, and Civil Liberties. Mike has been handling high-profile court cases as an accomplished lawyer for the past 20 years, and he joins us now to talk about it. Congressman Mike Johnson, welcome back to the program.
Hey, Tony, it's always a blessing. Thanks for all you do.
Well, Congressman, the media is... actually, they're giving some attention to this, but in a dismissive manner, saying this is outrageous, last-minute attempt, a Hail Mary for the Trump campaign to try and stop the declaration of Joe Biden as president. Let's talk about the suit. What's behind it, and why did the Texas Attorney General bring the suit?
Well, for them to say it's a Hail Mary pass and a last-minute effort is sort of comical. We just have been dealing with this for a month now since the election, and it's been a lot. There was a lot of irregularity, fraud, and hijinks, let's be frank about it, all around the country, and it takes a while to digest all of that. An election fraud case, or election irregularity case, is a notoriously difficult thing to litigate. You and I have talked about this before. It takes a Herculean effort to assemble the evidence, put it in a format that is presentable to the court, and make the requisite arguments. It's, of course, even more complex when you're doing it in so many different jurisdictions simultaneously around the country in a national election. So the timing here is arguably the best that it could have been done. The state of Texas filed this lawsuit directly with the Supreme Court, and that's what makes this one unique. As the president said today, this is the big one. They use the original jurisdiction of the Supreme Court because the rules say that if a state is suing another state or multiple states here, you can go straight to the court. You don't have to go through the district and appellate court levels and be bogged down with all the time and the politics of all that. So they filed it, again, as you said, against Georgia, Michigan, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin on the grounds that they violate the Constitution. 3 basic arguments. They're real simple. Everybody can digest and understand this. Texas is arguing that those states violated the Electors Clause of the Constitution because they made changes to voting rules and procedures through the courts and through executive actions, but not through the state legislatures. And that, under our constitutional framework, is the appropriate place to do it. Secondly, Texas argues that there were differences in voting rules and procedures in the different counties within the states, and so that violates the Constitution's Equal Protection Clause. And then finally, they just say that because of all those voting irregularities this time, there was previous problems, and that taints the whole election. So this is a meritorious case. As you've seen, the court has already ordered the states that are named as defendants to respond by Thursday, and we think there's a real potential here that the court will give this the appropriate hearing and review.
So the motivating factor here is that you have an attorney general of Texas that filed the suit. Of course, you've now got 17 other states that have weighed in. But the basic bottom line of this is these states, by violating these provisions, Article 11 and the 14th Amendment, are depriving Texas of representation. So that's why Texas has they have skin in the game here. They have a legitimate beef in that because these states did not follow, as you pointed out, the electors, the way it was done supposed to be done through the legislature, and the fact that in several of these states there was a two-tiered system of the way the voting was done, and so the laws were lax in certain portions. It was inconsistent, and it violated the 14th Amendment. Is that accurate?
Yes, that's a way to summarize all of it. The point being that it's just, let's put it in layman's terms, it's just simply unfair. It's a violation of the Equal Protection Clause of the Constitution because the voters in Texas and these other states, 17 other states, or all of them, were disenfranchised in a way because of the hijinks in the other states that were the offending states here. And that's the problem. Look, it's a national election. All of our our votes in the popular vote and through the Electoral College at some stage, at some level, get lumped in together. And you're diluting the lawful votes of persons who had constitutional systems in place when you allow this to go on unchecked elsewhere in the country. And look, we're going to have a landslide of House Republicans who are going to sign on to our amicus brief to support this tomorrow in the court. And we're making a very simple argument on behalf of all the congressmen here and men and women, because we represent untold millions of Americans who are deeply concerned tonight, Tony, as you and I are, with the integrity of our election system. I mean, this is about not just one election, but about the integrity of the system itself. And we have to get the court to give the appropriate, careful review of this. That's what we're asking them for, and I think that's what the American people are owed.
Well, it's an issue of the rule of law, because you have a constitution that lays out the rules of the game, and in this election, people or state officials violated those rules, and it's very concerning of what the future may hold if we don't address this now. Let me ask you this question, because what we're hearing repeatedly is where's the evidence? Where's the evidence? I mean, what kind of evidence are these people looking for? Because when I look through these filings, there is case after case. There is example after example. There are numbers that they're showing the irregularities. I mean, what do they mean when there's no evidence being presented?
Well, some people are just unwilling to see it. I had a debate with a very well-known national journalist over the last hour off the record for about 20 minutes, who I've known for a long time, and he accuses Republicans and conservatives of drinking the Kool-Aid. And I said, I'm not sure which side is drinking the Kool-Aid here, my friend. What are you guys afraid of? I mean, why wouldn't you want the highest court in the land to take a look at all of this? If you think there's nothing there and there's no smoke and no fire, then why all the outrage? Why all the objection to this? Just let it go through the process. We have to exhaust the legal remedy. Tony, the president called me this morning on my cell phone early this morning to talk about this. He's deeply concerned, and not just for his own benefit. This is not a selfish pursuit of his. He is genuinely concerned, as you and I are, with the future of our election system, with the people's belief in our most foundational institutions. I mean, one of the things that's presupposed in a constitutional republic is you're going to have free and fair elections. This is sacrosanct in our system and in our nation. And if we lose that, we lose the people's faith in that,
right,
we're in a very desperate time as a nation.
Well, again, I want to go back to the actual issues that have been documented. I mean, there's so many irregularities, and they've been enumerated. And so I'm not sure what those who are repeatedly saying there's no evidence, let the campaign put forth the evidence, these lawsuits are baseless because they have no evidence. It's these allegations of fraud. But I can't wrap my head around it other than what you just said. They just don't want to see it. It's there. I mean, let's just take, for instance, in Pennsylvania, where Philadelphia and Allegheny counties, where they have a historic Democratic advantage, they had a different standard for favoring voters in those two counties versus the rest of the state. So it's just like these local officials changed the rules for certain areas that were favorable toward Joe Biden. I mean, that in itself would suggest to me that there's a failure to enforce a systematic upholding of the law, and it would disfavor certain voters.
There's no question about that, and you can't look at that evidence objectively and draw any other conclusion. And that's the point. I mean, I'm just telling you, we're watching this play out with our own eyes. Half the country sees it one way, half the other. And just as so far as our Democrat colleagues here are concerned, and many on the left, they are just literally unwilling to consider that evidence. They don't want to see it, Tony, because they're ready to move on. They're ready to coronate President Biden and go on with this. And they would just love to wave a magic wand and make all this go away. But if they're allowed to do that, then this will be the future of every election in America, I fear. So if we don't hold this in check, if we don't litigate it, then we're in deep trouble.
We're up against a break here, Mike. So do you think this case has the potential to throw the issue to the Congress to decide who the president of the United States will be?
It does have the potential to do that. We'll have to see what the Supreme Court does. I don't think they can sidestep the court's obligation here to duly consider this. So we will see.
You feel pretty confident that the court will take up this case or allow the suit to go forward?
I think they're going to be compelled to do it. I really do. And that's why we're involved.
All right. Well, I trust your judgment. I've known you for a long time, and you don't play around. Mike Johnson, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you, my friend.